Well, everyone, we are here in the new building, and it is just, it's starting to come together. Obviously, we don't have any lights in here. We're actually just waiting, we're just watching the sunlight kind of come in, and the sun is actually on the other side of the building, but we thought we'd try to capture some light in here while we still could, and bring to you some kind of inspiration because of what we've been experiencing. And we've been waiting for God really to move in our hearts in the church. We definitely have gone through what we would consider a desert time, wouldn't you? And it seems like, time after time when we've gone to do something, it seems like we've really been spinning our tires. And one of those times is when we first sat down to write. We thought, hey, we should write a song. And so we sat down to write, and it was really funny. I remember there was even tension there. Do you remember that?
Yes. I was really mad.
Yeah.
I did not like what you wrote.
Yeah, and it was bad. I mean, that's the truth of it. It was really, really bad.
And I could only get like 3 chords out.
Yeah, so we didn't do that for a while. We put that on hold and decided maybe that wasn't something that we were supposed to do. And but over the last few weeks and months, we have really been seeing God do some things in our church. And it's interesting because as we decided to kind of dig back into Scripture and think about what it means for us as a congregation to move over into our new building, there's some physical things that are happening. We've got to shut down operations over there. We've got to, bring everything over here. The closer we've gotten to that, it seems like there's some spiritual things that have kind of been coinciding with that as well. Like we're crossing the Jordan River, and that's really the parts of Scripture that we've kind of gone back to time and time again. And so as we sat down to write, we started looking at Scripture. Mm-hmm. And I don't remember exactly what started it or how we decided we were going to write again. Do you remember?
Yes. You were reading the story of Joshua again, and then came and said, hey, I've got a few words here. I've kind of been noodling, I have an idea. What do you think? You want to write a song? I'm like, yeah, I've actually been having a few things go through, and then, the next day you said, oh, come here, I've got this song. And it was, just recapping just the crossing of the Jordan all over again, and then it just took off.
And if I recall, we actually had intended to do that the first time, right? When we sat down to write, we're like, we want to get this down. We want to write something about our experience and what's going on at our church and what crossing the Jordan really means for us. But it was so difficult. Mm-hmm. It felt like a desert in a lot of ways. And so, but since then, what has happened, what's transpired is we sat down to write some songs like she was talking about. And we actually, between the two of us, we have just been kind of pumping out songs over the last couple of months. It was just sometimes not even trying.
And there's just a clear vision. And these melodies are just, that won't stop. These, moments of just, you have to go right now, you've got to stop what you're doing, it doesn't matter, and you've got to just write it down.
Yeah.
And just people's faces, people's lives, the church lives, just everything just flooding in and just needing to write these words down. It was in God's timing. He said, okay, now it's time.
Now I'll give this to you. Yeah. What has come out of working together in this project for this church has really led to an understanding of the Scripture that God has called us to cross the Jordan, to take hold of an identity, and it's become personal. It's not just something that's corporate now. It's become kind of personal for us. And so as we sat down, really every song that we wrote came out of Scripture, and it was a digging into the Word that kind of led to that, which was really neat. So. Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about this song? This was one that you kind of brought to the table. What kind of inspired this particular song, and why these words kind of came out?
Yeah. Okay. So, before the Israelites went in, Joshua gathered them all together and asked them, hey, who are you going to follow? Like, you can see the promised land there, God's promised it to us, but he wants to know, we need to decide, are we going to continue to try to be on our own strength? Are we going to continue to just kind of, go through these motions? Are you going to step into the promises that God has for us and into his direction, into his calling, into just into his presence? Or is it going to be just your own? And it really just came out of this place of looking at our church and just how we are in that same place. And kind of in this desert, there's been a shift of a culture change really in our church, and just before we come into this new promise that God's called us, we need to decide, where are we gonna look? Are we gonna try to have this great new building and do this beautiful ministry on our own, or are we gonna have Christ as the head, moving in us and following his direction? And really it just turned into a prayer of lift us out of that desert, and let's step into let's step into his plans, and awaken that in us, and don't just continue just to sit and watch everything happen, but step into it and actively participate and know that it's because God is leading.
So I remember one time we had the DS come over, and I think it was kind of a moment, because he talked about how the Israelites had to consecrate themselves before they go over and get right with the Lord, and he kind of took that from the scriptures that we have kind of been going over. And when I look at this, it feels so much like a consecration song. Like, we're choosing God, we're choosing to follow him, and if there's anything that gets in the way, I mean, it just, even going back to this, awaken our hearts, lead us out of the dry land. That's the part that you're kind of looking back. But then you get down to the remove our fears and doubts, draw the lost up into your name. It becomes very missional. And I mean, personally missional. Remove our fears and doubts, get us focused on the right thing, but then help us to do the mission work that you've called us to do. And I love this song. I've been singing this song all week in my head. And so as we kind of talk about these songs, we want to do this kind of on the regular. So we're going to be putting one of these out periodically, just so that you can kind of see how God has been inspiring us and talk about the song. And so right now we're going to play We Look to You.